I always thought I understood what peace felt like. Life with Lila was warm, steady, the kind of comfort I never believed I'd earn. I used to tell Marcus, "Man, I think I finally found home." And he'd laugh, punch my shoulder, and say, "Don't get soft on me." But I meant it. At least, I thought I did. That evening, I walked into the hallway and heard Lila's voice in the living room. She was talking to her cousin Mia. I wasn't trying to listen. I only froze when I heard my name. "Eli is good," Lila said. "He's stable. He's kind. But Adrian, he had more ambition. More presence. More spark." The words sliced through me. I felt my chest burn. I leaned back against the wall before my heartbeat gave me away. Mia whispered, "Lila, don't say that. You're getting married." "I know," Lila sighed. "I just miss how alive Adrian made me feel." My stomach dropped. I stepped quietly out of the hallway and made noise with the door so they'd know I was home. When I walked in, Lila smiled like nothing happened. "Hey babe," she said. "Long day." "Yeah," I muttered, forcing a grin. Mia waved at me, awkward, as if she knew she'd heard something she shouldn't have said out loud. I sat beside Lila, pretending I wasn't bleeding inside. Later, when Mia left, Lila touched my arm. "You okay? You look tired." "Just work," I said. She leaned on my shoulder. I pretended it didn't hurt. That night Marcus called. "You sound off. What happened?" I hesitated. "Nothing serious." Marcus snorted. "You only say that when something serious is happening." I swallowed. I overheard Lila earlier. She was comparing me to Adrian. Marcus went quiet. Then, "Bro. I told you she never healed from that guy." "She loves me now," I said. "Maybe. But she still carries him in her head. That's dangerous." I wanted to argue, but my voice failed. Marcus sighed. "Eli, don't ignore signs just because you're scared of what they mean." "I'm not scared," I lied. "You are," he said softly. "And you should be." I hung up before he could dig deeper. I didn't want to hear truth shaped like warnings. When Lila walked into the bedroom, she smiled at me again. So soft, so familiar, like the woman I'd chosen every day for 3 years. "Want tea?" she asked. "Sure." She sat beside me on the bed and laughed about something from her day. I forced a laugh back, but my mind stayed stuck on 3 words. "More. Spark. Adrian." Lila touched my hand. "Eli." "Yeah. You seem distracted." "I'm fine," I said. She frowned. "Talk to me. I don't want distance between us." I almost told her everything. I almost asked why Adrian still lived in her voice. But I didn't want to hear excuses that would hurt more than silence. "It's nothing," I whispered. She rested her head on my chest. Her hair brushed my chin. It should have calmed me. Instead, I felt like I was holding someone who wasn't holding me back. Later, when we got in bed, Lila was talking about the wedding seating chart. I was thinking maybe Adrian. My body froze. She did too. "No," she whispered, eyes wide. I meant Adam. Your cousin. I swear." But the slip had already stabbed through me. And her face said everything she didn't. I looked away. "It's fine." "No, Eli, listen. It's fine." She grabbed my arm. "Don't shut down. Please." My voice trembled despite me trying to lock it down. "Why was his name even close to your mind?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. I don't know," she finally whispered. "It was an accident." "Accidents come from somewhere," I said. Silence grew like a wall between us. She looked terrified. Maybe because she knew the truth behind her slip. Maybe because she saw the truth behind my eyes. "Eli," she whispered, "I love you." I wanted to believe it. I really did. But the fear settled in. Heavy. Cold. Real. Because in that moment I finally understood. I was losing her. Not to a person. Not to a decision. But to a memory that still burned inside her. A ghost named Adrian. And she didn't even know she was breaking me. I woke up the next morning hoping the crack between us had closed overnight, but the silence in the apartment told me it hadn't. Lila stood by the mirror, fixing her hair like she was preparing for someone else's eyes, not mine. "Morning," I said softly. She didn't look at me. "Morning." Her tone was clipped, guarded. I stepped closer. "About last night, can we talk?" "No," she said quickly. "There's nothing to talk about." "There is," I insisted. "You said Adrian's?" She spun toward me. "I told you it was a mistake. Why are you making it a big deal?" "Because it hurt," I whispered. She sighed like my feelings were an inconvenience. "Please drop it." I did, for the moment. But the silence between us felt heavier than any fight. At breakfast, her phone buzzed twice. She flipped it face down instantly. My eyes followed the motion. "Who's that?" I asked. "Work," she said too fast. "Stop assuming things." "I'm not assuming," I said. "I'm trying to understand why you're acting different." "Different?" She laughed lightly, but there was no warmth. "I'm the same." No, she wasn't. Later that day, we visited her mother for an early dinner. I hoped being around family would ease the tension, but I should have known better. Her mother greeted us with a smile that vanished the moment she looked at me. "Lila, you look lovely. Very grown up lately." "Thanks, Mom," Lila said, adjusting her new form-fitting dress. Her mother's eyes slid to me. "You know," she began, sipping her tea, "Adrian always appreciated how elegant Lila looked. He used to say she had a shine about her." I clenched my jaw. "Good for him." She continued as if I hadn't spoken. "Honestly, Lila, I still think you settled too quickly. Adrian had ambition. He had a future." Lila froze. "Mom, stop." "What?" "I'm just saying you had options." Heat rose to my face. "So I'm the downgrade?" Her mother blinked innocently. "I never said that. I'm just comparing trajectories." "Mom, enough," Lila repeated, firmer this time. But she didn't defend me. Not once. When we left, I waited until we were in the car before speaking. "Why didn't you correct her?" "She didn't mean anything bad," Lila muttered. "She literally said you settled." "So what?" "She says stuff like that. Don't take it personally." "How am I not supposed to?" She rubbed her forehead. "Can we not fight right now?" "I'm tired." I stared out the window, my chest tight. If she wouldn't defend me to her own mother, what did that say about us? That night, I noticed more changes. She stayed in the bathroom longer than usual. When she came out, she was wearing new perfume, a soft floral scent I'd never smelled on her before. "New perfume?" I asked. She shrugged. "Just felt like trying something different." Her phone buzzed again. She grabbed it instantly, shielding the screen with her hand. "Lila," I said quietly, "who are you waiting to hear from?" "No one." "Then why hide your phone?" She swallowed. "I'm not hiding anything." "Then show me." "No." The word hit me like a slap. "Why not?" "Because I don't owe you explanations every time I breathe," she snapped. I stepped back. "I'm not asking for control. I'm asking for honesty." "There's nothing going on," she insisted, but her voice trembled. And that tremble told the truth. The next day I went to see Sarah, Lila's closest friend and the one person who usually told me the truth even when it stung. "Sarah," I said as I sat across from her at the cafe, "has Lila talked to Adrian?" Her eyes widened. "Too much." "Why would you think that?" "Because she's acting strange. Distant. Defensive. And she's hiding her phone." Sarah stirred her drink without looking up. "She's stressed. That's all." "Sarah, please." She finally looked at me and the guilt in her eyes made my stomach drop. "I'm not supposed to say anything." "So there is something." She bit her lip. "I don't know details. She's been thinking about things. Old memories. Old feelings." "Because of him?" Sarah didn't answer. She didn't have to. I leaned back, air leaving my lungs. "He's back in her head." Her silence confirmed it. That evening, I walked into the living room and found Lila sitting on the couch, smiling at her phone. A soft, dreamy smile. "Lila," I said quietly. She jumped, locking the screen instantly. "You scared me." "Who were you talking to?" "No one." "That didn't look like no one." She hesitated. Fear flickered in her eyes. Fear of being caught, not fear of losing me. "It's not what you think," she whispered. And for the first time I realized she wasn't mine anymore. Not really. Not fully. Not in the ways that mattered. The past I thought she left behind was slowly taking her from me. Piece by piece. I was in the kitchen, pouring myself a glass of water, when my eyes caught her phone on the counter. A notification popped up. "Adrian." My stomach twisted. I froze, glass halfway to my lips, pretending not to notice. My hand shook but I forced it steady. "Who's Adrian?" I asked lightly, trying to sound casual, though my voice cracked slightly. Lila glanced at me, panic flashing in her eyes. "What?" "No one. Just a friend." I raised an eyebrow, setting the glass down. "Friend. At 10 p.m. sending messages like this." She laughed nervously. "It's nothing really. Just, we used to know each other." I kept my expression neutral, but inside I was breaking. My chest tightened. "Used to know each other?" "Lila." I saw the notification. Her lips pressed into a thin line. It's complicated, she said softly. Don't worry about it. I wanted to reach for her, to shake her, to demand the truth. But I stayed silent. Instead I said, fine. But you need to be honest with me. She nodded, biting her lower lip. I am. Really? The room felt heavier. I could feel a storm brewing between us, one I didn't know how to calm. I sat down at the table, running my hands over my face. This isn't just about a message, is it? Lila hesitated, then shook her head. No, it's complicated. He reached out after all this time. I didn't expect it. I swallowed hard. You didn't expect it? Or did you want it? Her eyes widened. I didn't, Ethan, I didn't. She trailed off as if words could undo what was already broken. I leaned back, letting the silence fill the room. My mind replayed every comparison she had ever made. Adrian. More ambitious, more present, more spark. I could still hear the echo of her words, each one a blade against my chest. Lila, I said finally, my voice low, every time you mention him, it feels like you're holding me up against a ghost. And I can't. She flinched. I never meant to hurt you. I love you. I do. I want to believe that, I admitted. I really do. But you're not just comparing. You're connecting again. And it's killing me. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back, shaking my head. I can't do this right now. Later Marcus called. I could hear his voice through the phone, calm but firm. Ethan, walk away. She's not just caught in her past, she's letting it control your present. Don't let it ruin you. I can't, I whispered, staring at the ceiling. I love her. That love will destroy you if you keep letting her play with your heart. Protect yourself for once, Marcus said. I hung up, feeling hollow. I went to the living room, trying to focus on the TV, on anything. But then I heard it, a quiet sob from the bedroom. She didn't know I could hear her. Why did he come back now? She whispered, her voice breaking. Something inside me snapped. I sank to the floor, head in my hands. The person I loved was tangled in the arms of someone else, someone she couldn't let go of. And she didn't even realize the damage it was causing me. I wanted to yell, to demand, to beg. But I stayed still, listening. Each sob, each whisper, was a dagger twisting deeper into my chest. Adrian wasn't just a memory. He was a shadow, growing longer, darker, and she was walking willingly into it. I thought about confronting her, about leaving, about everything Marcus said. But my heart betrayed me. I stayed. I had to know, I had to survive, but I didn't know how to keep loving her without losing myself. By the time she stopped crying, the room was silent again, heavy and suffocating. I sat there, trembling, knowing one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same. Adrian had returned, and so had the fear that I was already losing her, piece by piece, to someone else. And I realized in that moment that loving her might be the hardest and most dangerous battle I'd ever fight. I couldn't stop thinking about the message. My stomach churned all day, but my pride, or maybe my obsession, wouldn't let me confront her. So I followed her. I didn't know why I did it, but something in me needed to see, to understand, to confirm my worst fears. She walked down the street, unaware, phone in hand. I kept my distance, heart hammering, trying to blend in with the crowd. The air felt thick, every step heavy. My chest burned. When she stopped, Adrian was there. I saw him before she did. Smirking, leaning casually against the cafe wall. The same arrogance, the same smugness I'd heard about, the same thing she once said made him irresistible. Lila, he greeted, voice smooth, practiced. You look different, stronger, but still beautiful. She blushed, and I felt a hot spike of something, anger, jealousy, slide through me. She smiled, but it wasn't nervous, it was soft, lingering. Adrian, hi. I've missed this, he said, not touching her, but his gaze lingered like fire. Talking to you, hearing your laugh, remembering. I clenched my fist. God, stop. Stop speaking to her like she's yours. She's mine, I whispered, even though she couldn't hear me. He laughed lightly. Oh, Lila, you always had that spark. Remember when we... Adrian, she interrupted, voice trembling, we shouldn't? Shouldn't what? He tilted his head, mock confusion. Remembering is harmless, isn't it? Seeing who we were. She said nothing. Just smiled, a little weakly, but she didn't pull away. And my chest felt like it was splitting in two. I wanted to step forward. To yell. To shake her. But I couldn't. I stayed in the shadows, hiding, heart pounding. My fingers itched to call her name, but I didn't. I wanted to see everything. Minutes passed. Adrian complimented her hair, her laugh, the way she always knew what to say. And she listened. Laughed. Nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't push him away. My lungs tightened, each breath sharp. Later that night I confronted Sarah. I couldn't take it anymore. What is going on with Lila? Why does she let him do this? Sarah's eyes were sad, almost guilty. Ethan, she never got closure. Adrian, he dumped her brutally. No explanation, no apology. She's looking for validation, not love. You're just the one holding the bandage. I sank onto the couch, shaking my head. Bandage? Sarah nodded. Yes. You're safe, stable, but she's still wounded. That's why she lingers in the past. I wanted to scream. So I'm nothing? You're everything to her in this moment, but she doesn't see it. Not fully. She needs to heal herself, not lean on you yet. I stayed silent. Her words burned, but they also made a dark clarity settle in me. I realized I was being used. Not cruelly but blindly. My heart tightened, but my lips stayed sealed. I wanted to test something. To see how far she would go. Later, I returned to my apartment, replaying everything in my mind. Adrian's smirk. Lila's smile. Her soft blush. The way she didn't stop him. And yet, I loved her. I hated myself for loving her while she wandered in someone else's shadow. I made a decision, silent, almost desperate. I would watch. I would endure. Not because I wanted to hurt myself, but because I needed to know. Would she choose me, or the ghost that never truly let her go? I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, heart thudding like a drum. My chest ached, every nerve alive with tension. But beneath it all, a strange part of me understood. She wasn't doing this to break me. She was searching for herself. And I would either be her anchor, or witness her fall. And I didn't move. I couldn't. I needed to see the end of this. I needed to see the truth. I tried to stay calm, but wedding planning had become a battlefield. Every choice I made, every suggestion, seemed to spark Lila's cold critique. I don't know, Ethan, she said as I showed her the floral arrangements. These roses are fine, but Adrian would have chosen lilies. They have more presence. I forced a smile. Roses are classic. They last longer too. She tilted her head, lips pursed. Classic isn't always exciting. You should aim higher. I bit my tongue. Nora, our wedding planner, noticed. Lila, maybe we could mix some lilies with the roses, she suggested gently. Lila waved her off. I don't know if Ethan really understands what I want. I felt it again, that slow-burning ache inside. My heart clenched and I clenched my fists under the table. Julia, my sister, noticed immediately. Hey, she whispered, brushing her hand over mine. Don't take it to heart. You're doing your best. You deserve someone who sees it. I gave her a faint, grateful smile. Thanks, Jules. Lila's mother joined us soon after, and of course the comparisons began. Ethan, you're sweet, but Adrian always knew how to make Lila feel special. I froze, jaw tight. Lila didn't even flinch. She stayed silent, eyes downcast, twisting the napkin in her hands. She's not defending you, I muttered under my breath to Julia. She's complicated, Julia said softly, her eyes full of concern. But that's not fair to you. Later, Lila shocked me. Maybe we should invite Adrian, she said casually as we reviewed the guest list. You know, just to show he doesn't matter. My hand stilled mid-scroll. You mean it? Lila shrugged, avoiding my gaze. I just thought it might close the chapter. I searched her eyes. There was the truth I couldn't ignore. She wanted him there. Not as closure. Not as a casual gesture. She wanted him. That night I couldn't sleep. I found her in the kitchen, tracing her finger along the counter, face tense. Lila, I started, voice soft. She flinched like she was caught. Ethan, Why did you suggest inviting him? My voice cracked slightly. She sighed, shoulders drooping. I'm confused. Confused? I echoed, numb. Yes, she whispered, almost pleading. Adrian, he apologized. He wants to be friends. I don't know how I feel. The words stabbed me deeper than I expected. I could feel my chest tighten, my stomach twist. Friends? I repeated, disbelief shaking me. You're engaged to me, Lila? I know, she said quickly, but her eyes betrayed her. She wasn't fully present, wasn't fully mine. But I can't stop thinking about him. I feel like I need to know it's really over between us. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You want closure. But it feels like you're slipping away. She didn't answer. She just stared at the floor, tears glinting in the dim light. Julia found me later, pacing the hall, fists clenched. Ethan, you have to hear me. You're better than this. better than her indecision. You deserve someone who chooses you without hesitation. I know, I whispered, voice tight. But I still love her. Julia shook her head gently. Love doesn't have to hurt like this. I slumped against the wall, sliding down until I sat on the floor. I thought about Adrian, smiling, charming like he still owned her thoughts. And I realized the frightening truth. Lila wasn't just hesitant. She was pulling away, letting someone else occupy the space I thought was mine. I closed my eyes, feeling the quiet despair settle in. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. But I also wanted to watch, to see how far she would go before she realized what she was losing. That night, I lay awake, haunted by her words, "I'm confused." Haunted by the image of her smiling at Adrian's messages, her mind no longer fully with me. My chest ached, and somewhere deep down, I knew the engagement was rotting before it even bloomed. I thought I could handle the quiet tension, the little cracks forming in our life. But then Owen pulled me aside one evening, eyes sharp. "Ethan." "I saw them," he said quietly, glancing around like he didn't want anyone else listening. "Who?" I asked, heart thudding. "Lila and Adrian. They had coffee. Together." I froze. "Coffee?" My voice was hollow, disbelief lacing it. "Yeah. Not hidden. Not sneaky. But there's comfort there, man." She laughs, smiles, like nothing changed. I felt the final crack inside me, spreading like ice through my chest. "Comfort?" I whispered, more to myself than him. Owen's shoulders slumped. "I tried to stay out of it, but I don't know, Ethan. You should see it for yourself." I nodded, numb. That night I couldn't sleep. I walked aimlessly, phone in hand, mind spinning. That's when fate dropped a bomb. I ran into her at a boutique downtown. A tall, elegant woman with an aura that demanded attention. She glanced at me, eyes narrowing slightly, then recognition. "Lila?" she said, voice steady but cold. I blinked. "Yes. Do I know you?" Her face darkened instantly. "Emily. Adrian's Emily. His fiancée." Something inside me froze. Adrian's fiancée. Oh. I tried to mask my disbelief. Emily sighed, crossing her arms. "You have no idea what you're getting into, do you?" I frowned. "What do you mean?" Her gaze pierced me. "Adrian never changed. He's a control freak, Ethan. He tried getting back with Lila before he proposed to me. Before it was official." I took a step back, stomach twisting. "He, what?" Emily shook her head, eyes hard but tired. "Don't act shocked. I saw it coming, eventually. But he's charming. He makes you feel like he's changed, like he's different for each person. Lila, she just never realized it." I sank onto a bench, feeling the weight press down. "And you just let it happen?" "I didn't have a choice," she admitted softly. "I was tired of the lies, Ethan. Tired of pretending everything was fine." Adrian. She paused, studying me. "Do you even know who you're marrying?" Her words hit me harder than a fist. I swallowed. I thought I did. I thought I knew Lila." Emily leaned closer, voice dropping. "You don't. Not the Lila who loved Adrian and maybe still does a little. Not the one who'll measure you against him every step of the way." I felt bile rise. I don't understand why she can't see what she has now. Me. I've built a life, a future for us." Emily's expression softened just slightly. "She's not capable of seeing you clearly, Ethan. She's trapped in the past. And Adrian, he thrives on that. He always will." I ran a hand over my face, heart racing. "Then, why did you tell me all this?" Emily's eyes met mine. "Because I can't stand another person getting hurt by him. And you deserve to know. You deserve clarity before it's too late." Her words echoed in my mind as I walked away, hands shaking. Adrian never changed. Lila's heart wasn't fully mine. And the man I thought I hated, he was still playing, still controlling, still present in the shadows. The quiet streets felt heavier than ever. Emily's question stayed with me. "Do you even know who you're marrying?" I didn't. Not fully. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Something awakened. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I realized then clarity doesn't come gently. It comes like fire, burning away illusions. And mine had just gone up in flames. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind was a battlefield. Thoughts of Lila, Adrian, Emily, every little crack and betrayal gnawed at me. I hated how much I still cared, but I knew one thing. I had to see the truth. Emily's words echoed in my head from our encounter the day before. "Do you even know who you're marrying?" I didn't. And the more I thought, the more I realized clarity could only come if I faced everything. I found her sitting across from me at a small cafe the next morning. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes carried the same sharp honesty I'd come to respect. "Ethan," she said softly, "you're thinking about what I told you." "I can't stop thinking, Emily," I admitted, staring into my coffee like it would answer everything. "I can't keep pretending everything's fine." She nodded, then leaned in slightly. "Then you need to see it all. You need to know her heart before you risk your own." "I don't want to play games," I said, though the words sounded weak even to me. "It's not a game," she said firmly. "It's closure. You invite them to your wedding. Lila, Adrian, both. Let it all unfold. You'll see what she truly feels and you'll finally know." I blinked. "Invite them to our wedding?" My stomach twisted. "Yes," Emily said, calm but unwavering. "I know it sounds insane. But it's the only way you'll see her real heart. You'll understand before it's too late." I swallowed hard. I don't know if I can do that." "You can. You'll survive it. And you'll finally be free of illusions," she said, her gaze piercing through the fog of my confusion. Later that day I spoke to Marcus. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You want to do what?" he asked, hands on his hips, eyebrows raised. "I'm inviting Adrian and Emily to the wedding," I said evenly, trying to keep my voice steady. Marcus laughed, sharp and incredulous. "Ethan, that's insane. You're supposed to be marrying Lila, not staging some confrontation reality show." "I'm not doing it for revenge," I said, the words tasting bitter. "I'm doing it for truth. I need to see her heart before I destroy mine." He shook his head, disbelief clear. "You're going to get hurt." "Maybe," I admitted quietly. "But I can't keep pretending she's mine if she's still holding a ghost from her past." I started withdrawing after that. Cold, distant. Lila noticed, of course. "Why are you like this?" she asked one evening, eyes narrowing. "You've changed overnight." "What did I do?" "Nothing," I said, voice low. "It's not about you. It's about me, isn't it?" she pressed. I said nothing because the truth wasn't mine to give yet. Days later, Sarah finally broke. I caught her in the kitchen, hands trembling. "Ethan." "Oh, she's been talking to Adrian," she confessed, voice barely above a whisper. "Not about work. Emotional. She seeks him for comfort." I felt my stomach turn, but I stayed calm. "Comfort?" I asked quietly. "Yes, she hides it, but it's there. She needs him emotionally," Sarah admitted, eyes full of guilt. I nodded slowly, heart heavy but face calm. "Thank you," I said, voice steady. I needed to know. That night I sat at my desk, drafting the invitations. Each word was careful, precise. Lila would never know it, but the stage was set. Adrian, Emily, Lila, all of them in one room. My hand shook slightly as I sealed the envelopes. I wasn't sure if I was nervous or sick to my stomach. Maybe both. But I told myself over and over, this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. About finally seeing who Lila really was and who I really was to her. The invitations were sent. Now all that was left was waiting. Waiting for the wedding, waiting for the confrontation, waiting for the truth to crash into my life like fire. And somewhere deep inside I felt the first flicker of strength. No matter what happened, I would survive. I had to. The morning felt surreal, like the world had tilted on its axis and I was standing still while everything else spun. I dressed in my suit, hands shaking slightly, though I forced calm into my voice when I spoke to Marcus. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, adjusting his tie. "I have to be," I said quietly. "I need to see the truth no matter what it costs." The ceremony room was filled with guests, soft music floating in the air. Lila stood at the front, radiant as ever, but I noticed the tension in her shoulders, the slight tremor of her hands. She didn't know yet that I had sent invitations to Emily and Adrian. She had no idea the world was about to change. And then they arrived. I saw them first from the corner of my eye. Emily, calm, composed, eyes sharp and unwavering, and Adrian, smirking like he owned the moment. They walked in together and I felt the air shift. Lila froze instantly. Her face lost all color, lips parting slightly as if she had swallowed a shockwave. "Ethan, who are they?" she whispered, voice trembling. "They're guests," I said quietly, keeping my expression neutral. Emily moved closer to Lila, her tone low but cutting. "Lila, we need to talk." Lila's eyes darted, panic rising. "Emily, it's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think," Emily said, voice calm but forceful. "You begged Adrian to meet you. You lied to him and you lied to him again. You wanted him to feel jealous using him, and you used Ethan as the stage." The words landed like a hammer. I felt my chest tighten, but I said nothing. The truth was unfolding exactly as it needed to. Adrian leaned back slightly, still smirking. I see the little games, Lila. You really thought I wouldn't notice? Or that he wouldn't? Lila's hands flew to her face. I didn't. I just. Emily stepped closer. You manipulated everyone, Lila. Ethan loved you blindly, and you fed him crumbs while chasing a memory. Do you even realize how ugly that makes you? Gasps spread across the guest. Whispers moved like wildfire. People were staring, eyes wide, shocked at the revelation. Lila collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her cheeks. Ethan, please, you have to understand. I didn't mean to. I looked at her and felt nothing. The hurt had already buried itself and walked away. The love that once burned so brightly in me had been replaced by clarity, sharp and cold. You lied to me, I said quietly, voice steady. You lied to me from the start. You weren't ever mine, Lila. She reached for my hand, shaking. No, please, listen to me. I pulled my hand back, calm and deliberate. No. The truth is here, plain and naked. I don't need your lies to hurt me anymore. Emily's eyes softened briefly at my side. You did the right thing, she whispered. Adrian chuckled low, finally losing the smirk just slightly. Guess some things never change. Still playing with hearts, huh, Lila? Lila sobbed, clutching herself. I didn't want it to be like this. I just wanted him to feel something, anyone. Please, Ethan. I turned away. I walked slowly down the aisle, each step a liberation. I wasn't running. I wasn't hiding. I was walking into freedom, leaving the illusions behind. Lila's voice followed me, cracking. Ethan, don't go. But I did. My heart felt light for the first time in months. The truth was finally exposed, raw and brutal, and I was no longer trapped in its shadow. The world was silent around me, but in that silence I found myself. I didn't look back. I gripped the microphone, my knuckles white, but my chest was strangely calm. The guests were waiting, the whispers of confusion and curiosity swirling around me. Lila's eyes were wide, full of fear and hope at the same time. I drew in a slow breath and let my voice carry. I loved you, Lila, I began, my tone steady, measured. I loved you more than I ever thought I could love anyone. I tried to make you happy. I tried to be enough for you. But I wasn't enough, not because of who I am, but because of what you wanted. Her lips trembled. Ethan. I raised a hand, stopping her. No, please, let me finish. The room was silent, all eyes on me. I felt Emily standing at the back, supportive, her gaze steady. Adrian shifted uncomfortably beside her. But this was my moment, my voice finally unchained. You never wanted peace. You never wanted honesty. You wanted a chase. You wanted someone to prove themselves to you endlessly, and I loved you anyway. I gave you everything I had, and yet, you were chasing ghosts from your past. Tears filled her eyes and she shook her head violently. I do love you now. I know it. Adrian, he ruined me. But her words fell on deaf ears. The truth had been revealed, the illusion shattered. I had already decided, deep in my soul, that love alone couldn't heal what she refused to see. Her mother stepped forward, trembling slightly. Ethan, darling, she isn't a child anymore, ma'am. She made her choices. I won't ruin my life trying to fix someone who won't be fixed. Lila gasped, clutching my arm. Please, don't do this. I can change. I can be with you. I shook my head gently, letting go of her hand. You don't get to decide what's right for me. I have lived in your shadows long enough. I can't keep pretending that your heart isn't elsewhere. I can't keep giving to someone who is still reaching for another man's memory. A sob escaped her lips, echoing through the room. She sank to her knees, hands clasped, pleading. Ethan, I beg you, don't leave me. I'll do anything. Anything to make it right. I crouched slightly to meet her eyes, not with anger, but with compassion that had taken months to reclaim. I can't. I will not let myself be someone's bandage anymore. I can't be a substitute for someone who should have never been left behind in the first place. This ends here, not with hate but with truth. She shook violently, murmuring, You can't leave me. I stood, the microphone still warm in my hand. I am leaving, Lila. But I am leaving free for both of us. You must live with the choices you made, and I must live with the freedom I earned. Her sobs grew louder, desperate, raw, but I felt a lightness in my chest. For the first time in months, I could breathe without the weight of lies pressing down. The engagement was over, the deception exposed, and I was reclaiming my life, step by step. I glanced at Marcus. He nodded, proud, knowing I had fought for myself rather than being consumed by anger or revenge. Emily's eyes met mine for a brief second, soft, approving. I turned and walked away, each step deliberate and steady. I didn't look back at Lila, at Adrian, at anyone. I walked into my own life, my own choice, my own freedom. I felt the burden lift completely as I reached the exit. Lila's cries faded behind me, her mother's protests meaningless now. For the first time, the world felt like mine again, untouched by manipulation or betrayal. I had chosen myself. And for the first time I smiled without guilt. The phone rang again. I didn't answer. I didn't want to hear her voice, her apologies, her panic. Lila had become a whirlwind, desperate, calling non-stop. Each missed call felt like a victory, a reminder that I had chosen myself. I remembered Marcus's words from a week ago. You don't need to chase her, Ethan. Let her live in the mess she created. I know, I had said quietly, but my heart still ached. I wanted closure, but more than that, I wanted peace. That night Emily called. Her voice was calm, almost relieved. Thank you, Ethan. You helped me finally see the truth. I thought I loved him, but he never loved anyone but himself. And you gave me the courage to walk away. I smiled softly, leaning back in my chair. You deserve better. No one should be a backup, Emily. Not for Adrian, not for anyone. She laughed lightly, a sound free from pain. I can finally breathe again. You saved me without even knowing it. I chuckled. I guess we saved each other in our own ways. We hung up and the quiet settled. The silence wasn't empty, it was filled with relief, with liberation. I didn't need to confront Lila again. The truth had reached her even if too late. Karma, it seemed, had a way of speaking louder than words. Julia came by that evening, her hand warm in mine. You're finally breathing, Ethan. I've never seen you this, at peace. I think I am, I admitted. It wasn't easy letting go, watching her spiral. But I can't live in someone else's choices. I have to live for me. Marcus nodded from the corner, arms crossed, a small smile on his face. I told you. You didn't need revenge. Life does it for you. I leaned back and let my mind wander. Adrian had left Emily eventually, chasing some new obsession. The news had reached Lila. Finally she saw the truth. His charm was nothing but a mask. Lila's tears were her own undoing, and I realized I didn't have to be involved. She had lost herself to illusions while I reclaimed my life. I walked through the quiet apartment, the soft hum of the city outside like a gentle heartbeat. The chaos of the past weeks felt distant now. The wedding, the lies, the betrayals, they were fragments of a life I didn't belong in anymore. I caught my reflection in the window. I looked tired, yes, but stronger, steadier. My chest was lighter, unburdened by the need to prove myself or be loved by someone unwilling to see me. I had survived, not by fighting but by stepping aside, letting life untangle itself. The phone rang again. Lila. I didn't answer. Instead, I let it go to voicemail. I didn't feel anger, only calm. I wasn't interested in chaos anymore. I wasn't interested in a love that had already left me behind. I sat down at my desk, pulled out a notebook and began to write. Not about her, not about Adrian, not about mistakes. I wrote about me, about plans, about hopes I had ignored for too long. My pen moved freely as if each word was a weight lifting off my shoulders. Julia peeked in, smiling. You're smiling again. Really smiling. I nodded, the corners of my mouth lifting in a quiet grin. I think I am. For the first time in a long time, I'm choosing myself. And it feels right. Marcus clapped me lightly on the shoulder. Welcome back, Ethan. You earned this. I leaned back, letting the soft light of evening fill the room. The city was alive, but I felt separate from its chaos, grounded in my own world, my own choices. No one could hurt me again unless I allowed it. The victories in life don't always scream, they whisper. They are in calm mornings, in steady breaths, in moments where you realize you are enough for yourself. I had that now. I stood, looking out at the horizon. Tomorrow would be another day, full of possibility, untainted by lies, unburdened by betrayal. And I would face it as me, stronger, wiser, and free. I had survived. I had chosen myself. And that was enough.